Here I got the 5-day chart, 5-minute candles for AIHS. So pretty much last week's price action. Clear spike, sold off, but then it spiked again overnight. Sold off again, and then gapped down a little bit, but you can see it still pushed lower lows until this point. It sold off at the end of the day. Into the Friday, people didn't want to hold over the weekend. You couldn't blame them. So as you see, this was a 80 cents, a high 70s, low 80-cent stock just last week, right? So I got all my support levels and resistance levels on the 14-day. So the first one I see that I'm going to be watching to hold is this 135. If the 135 doesn't hold, I'll be looking for a bounce off the 135 if it looks strong in pre-market, if it gaps up or whatnot. If it's at around 135, I'm going to wait for a good volume and a morning panic underneath it. And that next level I'll be looking for is the 125 right here. If the 125 breaks, possibly this 118 will hold. And now if that breaks, there's going to be no support to 1. And 1's not even necessarily support more than just the $1 test, right? So that's not going to be a sure thing. So I'm looking for the 135 to hold. If that doesn't, the 125, possible bounce off the 118. And then if that doesn't hold, I'm looking for a $1 test. Then from there, I'm looking for a bounce off the 94 cents level right here. As well, if that doesn't hold, the 88 cents level. If that doesn't hold, the 72. And all these support levels match up with different time frames I've already gone over previously before this video. As of price targets and resistance levels, my price targets are resistance levels. 145 first. If I get in at 135, I'm gonna be looking for that 145. I'm gonna be looking to get in at the 135, out at 145, in it, and rinse and repeat unless it clearly breaks over 145, right? It holds. Past that, 150 right here. After the 150, I'm looking for the 160. It's the next price target. 162-ish. That's where the chart really shows the top end, but 160, 162. After that, 170. After that, it's going to be 180. And then $2 after that. And let's look back at a daily candle all the way to the full year. And that's where I got some of these other ones. So there's the 118, 120-ish level is going to be a little stronger if you look at the year. It could be possibly from this spike right here and over here. As well as you see the dollar acting as support over here in August 2019 and acted as resistance here on this spike in November. So so under the 72, you might look for the 61, but I'm not. Let's talk about the catalyst why it spiked, because I don't think we're gonna see that much downside. So to make it simple, here we go. Someone did a report on Benzinga. So here we go. Shares are trading higher on Wednesday after the company announced it has signed an investment agreement with Hongya Industrial Group for roughly $7 million in the company's auto business. So everyone knows the auto business has been hot, right? So it's a hot sector on top of news. And so let's go through their SEC filings. And luckily, just on the 9th of July, they dropped to 10K. So we can go and see that as of July 6th, there's only 28.8 million shares. So it's relatively low float. And then here's something I like. I was going through their financials. a huge 10K. So so check this out. From 2019, they had 2.5 million in revenue. Now they have 15.6 million in revenue. So, but the profits went from 738,000 to 3.3 million. But it's also worth noting they're still losing money. They lost 4.5 million in 2009, and then here they are losing 9.9. Right, so they doubled their loss. More than quadrupled their gross profits, and almost 500% of their revenue. So I mean, it's a growing company. It's a speculative, interesting play with that type of float. And let's look back at the candle again. It's worth noting there's not much volume on this. It spiked on 55 million volume previously from 38 cents all the way to 160. So it's a former runner. It didn't hold though. But here we go. We look back at last week. Let's get it close. Go to the 100-day. You can't see it, but it's 124 million in one day. So potentially the flow got rotated nearly 5 times. And then the next day you see 65 million. And followed by 6.9 million. So people, they after that initial spike, they run, see the sell-offs. That it was interesting. The gap over. I was playing the lows since this spike. All last 3 days, I've been just scalping it off the lower days, the bounces off of it, just for 8-9 cents or so, or more if I could get it. But I'm thinking eventually, it's most likely will pull back. I think it's gonna break underneath the Let's go to the 5-minute candle again and go to that 14. See the uptrend I got here? So it's interesting. The uptrend is trying to build right here. It goes exactly to the tops of these. So if it can't hold this, I think for sure it's going to probably come down here. Maybe flirt around with the 118, 125 levels first, before ultimately testing that dollar and probably breaking and hitting around that 95. And I'll be looking to catch a bounce off the 25, sell it to the 135. I'll look for the bounce off the 118, look to sell it to the 125, look to catch the $1 bounce and sell it maybe to 110 or so, then catch the 95 cent or 94 cent support bounce, maybe back to $1 or so, and then it might just stay in that range for a little bit until ultimately maybe coming back up here and testing these levels that are heavy, where people got into heavy and as an investment, and they're now going to be looking to get out in the next couple weeks or this week. So that's how I'm looking to play this play. It's going to be interesting this week. It's caught my eye a lot.